MC-kun cracks his eyes open, ears ringing, head throbbing from the crack against the concrete below. His eyes are swimming with tears, and he blinks them away, bringing Villain-chan back into focus. She stands just above him, leaning over him, knife at the ready, her other hand gripped around his pink hair. He's done for. She's got him. He understands that in an instant, as he's too dizzy to even stand. But there's something else about this all that sends a wave of shock rippling down his spine. A twisting familiarity to be staring into her eyes. "I know you," he says, before he's even processed the words. Villain-chan should have shorn him right there. She doesn't. She freezes instead. "No you don't." "I know you," MC-kun insists again. The memory swimming behind his eyes is hazy. "You're a classmate. You came to the hospital," he continues, and he shuts his eyes again as the throbbing pain increases. He expects Villain-chan to slice his hair right then and be done with it. There's nothing more to buy him any time. She doesn't. He feels nothing except the pounding in his head. In that instant, it floods back and douses him like ice water, and his eyes snap open. He's looking directly into hers. "Not a classmate. It's you. It's you." Villain-chan is pinned to the spot. Her eyes are wide, mouth parted just slightly. "Stop, Kyoko. Stop. Of course I know you. You're Kyoko. How did I forget that?" Her grip loosens on MC-kun's hair. She leans back, tears brim in her eyes. Against her will, against her better judgment, she should move. She should act. But she can't. She shakes her head. "Please stop. Please don't remember." "I need to know." MC-kun shuts his eyes hard, opening them again. His body hurts. The realization is disorienting. A whole chapter of life is flooding before his eyes. "Kyoko, do you remember me?" Her tears fall. The knife drops. "Of course." She drops now, on her knees, beside MC-kun. "Takashi." MC-kun, Takashi, sits up. He braces a hand to the back of his head, and then pulls one knee up to his chest. He wraps his arms around it, and slumps forward. "Why are you doing this, Kyoko? And why? All that time in the hospital, you only ever came to see me once. Why?" The answer to both those questions is the same. Villain-chan, Kyoko, admits. She slumped forward too, avoiding eye contact, toying with the rim of the knife she dropped. "To put you back to normal, and send you back to normal, so you don't ever have to deal with this bullshit ever again. No one was forcing me. No one is forcing us. We don't want to be sent back, and I wanted to stay with you. So why? You died staying with me, you dumbass. And didn't you see the emails? The Shadow Realm, and the murdered brother, and the Mafia? That's like a 1-month itinerary for me. That's the fate you're tempting the longer you dress up like, you four don't belong here. You belong in the real world, living real lives, growing up like normal people." Kyoko threads her fingers through her hair, pulling at the roots, pink all the way through. "You don't understand how valuable that is." Kyoko straightens up some. Her face is set, like a parent mid-lecture. "You, Mariko," she points a finger to Gigi-chan. "You can still finish art school if you just go back now. They haven't expelled you yet. You've got government agencies hounding you for your hacking skills, yeah? What sort of life is that? How soon until one of your family members go missing because, I don't know, Russia wants you to hack the moon? Suck it up. Accept your C in sculpting and go home." Kyoko's attention shifts. "Ryosuke," RBR-kun flinches. Kyoko continues. "Call your grandmother, for Pete's sake. She's tired of having to root through an agent of your agent in order to get in contact with you. Also, you can't afford all those agents. You're gonna hit the wall eventually. Get out, now, before you're struggling to get out of debtor's prison. And Sakura," MG-chan doesn't flinch. She knew she was next. "Just go home. Stop enabling this. You don't have many ties to your family or home life in general. I get that, but it's better than having everything you love taken hostage by giants. Go home, and don't use your skills to unleash this evil on anyone else." Kyoko curls in on herself. Her voice drops. "All of you, go home, Takashi especially, and forget about this, and cut your losses here, before your life gets stuck like this, and your friends and family suffer." Her eyes snap to Takashi. "And if you don't agree, I'll see to it myself." "So wait, you're still gonna shear us like sheep? After all that?" RBR-kun, Ryosuke, asks. He points hastily to his entire bleached suit. After what you did to my Gucci suit, why didn't you tell us this from the beginning? Why run around like some ninja murderer, huh? Gigi-chan, Mariko, asks. She's placed the shattered frames back on her face, but the illusion is lost. Kyoko lets out a quiet laugh. For starters, you're all stubborn, and most people wouldn't believe me if I tried to tell them dyeing their hair pink will lead to ruin. And there are too many of you. It's better to hit as many as I can, to scare the fakes into believing they've been found out, to attack them and let them feel what it's like to be in danger, to be targeted, and have them reach the conclusion themselves that they just want things to be normal again. And as for the natural main characters who got swept up in this, I can't save them, but I've at least bought them a small reprieve, just a little bit of peace until their roots grow back, and the cycle starts all over for them. Her gaze drops to her hands. It was really the best plan I could come up with. I got pulled into this competition naturally. I was going to just let it run its course, and then I saw Takashi. The very first day. Couldn't believe it. Prayed I was wrong. I looked him dead in the eyes, and it was him, and he didn't recognize me. He was just back. Pink hair now. Thrown back into this world. I had to act, but I was scared to face him. You, Takashi. She looks at him now. That photo I slipped under your door. It's one I took of you. We were hanging out at the park. I've been hanging on to it as the last piece I had of you. Takashi stands. His face is in shadow, eyes obscured beneath a shock of pink hair. His hands are curled tight. I'm disappointed in you, Kyoko, he mutters, and his voice is like ice. What happened to you these last 6 months? When did you just give up? Silence meets him. He reaches down, pulls Kyoko standing, and grips her by the shoulders. She can see his eyes now, and they are filled with fire. This isn't the Kyoko I know talking. The one I know gave her all to save everyone she could. The Kyoko I knew was alive, and she was passionate, and she was ready to intervene when needed. Not this cynicism, not this bleakness. My optimism just about got you killed. What part of that are you missing here? Of course I've changed. I'm the Kyoko now who doesn't let innocent background kids get themselves killed. I failed you once by letting you get taken down, and I failed you again by letting you remember. I'm trying to become the Kyoko who doesn't fall for those failures. There's something I don't like about what you said. You said to cut this out before we let our friends or family suffer. Well, look at yourself. Takashi shakes her by the shoulders. His whole face moves out of shadow, pained beyond reason. Because you're my friend. You were my best friend. And I'm watching you suffer all alone right now. Don't you get it? He releases her shoulders and takes a step back and angles his hand with his thumb pointing to his own chest. You don't have to do this all alone. And the fact that I left you like that, I failed you, Kyoko. His shoulders fall a little. His words slip quieter. I failed you. And I'm so sorry about that. Stop. Stop doing this thing you do, Kyoko whispers. She stares at her own palms. Stop making me think it's okay to let down my guard. Stop making me dream about being not alone again. It's cruel of you. Offering things that will only hurt us both in the end. That's so cruel. Well then, allow me to be cruel too, as payback for the mean things you said earlier. MG-chan, Sakura, has closed the gap between them. She stands, hips squared, appraising Kyoko. I also take issue with the stuff you said, especially the thing about being hunted making us normal kids back down. Ryosuke, sure, but not me. That's when I rise up. I've been hunting for an explanation of how this world works, and now you've handed it over. And I want to know, what exactly do you expect to happen to those candy hairs who you sent home bleached and shorn and ruined? The ones whose uncles are in the Shadow Realm and whose brothers were mob bosses? Are they lost cases? Not your problem? Beyond any salvation? She prods Kyoko's shoulder. Have you given up on them? I'm guessing. Because you've given up on yourself? Kyoko takes a step back. The challenge bothers her. Because there's never any stopping it. There's never any end to it. There's no use trying to help them when it'll be something new the next day. Then why did you let me tag along for so long? Takashi asks. I never thought it was a wasted effort. Did you? No, Kyoko breathes. No, never. Not once. But that was my fault for letting you. My fault for being so lonely that I relied too heavily on you. It wasn't fair. It wasn't right. It got you hurt. It cost you your memory. Well, what if, Sakura continues, there had been a third person with you? What if it hadn't been just you and Takashi? What if there had been someone else to watch your back? They would have been in danger too. Less danger than you and Takashi alone. And if you all had each other's back, maybe Takashi would have gotten out of that fight unharmed. Stop it. Stop. You don't know what you're talking about. Sakura scoffs. And you think you know what you're talking about when you're just, what, trashing my decisions? Choosing my fate for me? Thing is, I don't want to go home back to my normal life. I like who I am and what I'm doing. I like supporting my friends. And while I wouldn't say I'm your friend, I am Takashi's friend. And he and I are in this together. She sticks a hand out, fist curled in the center of the three of them. And I'm not going home. Takashi joins her hand, nigh instantly, and Mariko's hand sneaks in from behind. I like what Sakura said. I don't want to go back to sculpting, and I also don't want to hack for governments either. I'd rather use this gift to help my friends. I'd rather save someone who needs my saving, however I can do that. A pause follows, and with a big, exaggerated huff, Ryosuke joins them, his Gucci suit reeking of bleach. I've had a lot more fun with these plebeians than I've had in a long time. I wasn't anyone special before I put on the Gucci suit, and I wasn't anyone special afterward either. But it was nicer to share that with people, with friends. I hadn't had that before. His eyes shift left and right. And I still owe Sakura about $200 for my outfits because I've run out of usable credit cards, so I can't flake out until that debt is repaid. I'd be more worried about the hundreds of thousands in loan shark debt, Mariko adds. Shh, shut it. I'm trying to have a moment here, okay? Ryosuke answers. One time, me and Kyoko had to retrieve this Fabergé dragon egg that was worth like several small countries, Takashi says. Next time something like that comes up, I'll invite you along. Ooh, charming. The fifth person in the circle slips down, onto her knees. Kyoko is on the floor now, staring vacantly at it, seemingly disconnected, until her eyes fill with tears, and she curls over, face in her hands. Why? Why go this far when you're able to go home and be normal? Why subject yourself to my curse all over? Because we're friends, Takashi answers simply. He reaches down and pulls her up. And I've let you down as a friend before, and I refuse to ever do that again. And I don't know if it's part of this weird world we've all stepped into, but somehow friendship feels like the best possible motivation I could think of right now. He raises his free hand, finger pointing upward. Plus, it doesn't have to be just us. It can be all the candy-haired kids we met here. No one needs to be facing this curse alone. Maybe it's extra work for us all, sure. But if we can ease everyone's burden, and work together, and find friendship with each other, maybe that's a new normal that's worth protecting. Kyoko's hand is trembling. She shuts her eyes, and bows her head, and sticks her hand into the circle, joining the other four. Takashi grabs her hand inside the circle, and he squeezes it tight. Thank you. Kyoko's life has never known peace. It's filled with dragons, and demons, and spirits, and fairies, chosen prophecies, and seeing oracles, and medieval quests, and otherworldly adventures, magic and sports and martial arts and cooking. Only some of those things are tied into her life directly. The rest are the daily hubbub of a network of new people she's still shakily getting to know. Whale-kun is easy enough to remember, given his hair has returned to its perfect whale coif, and he speaks only in whale puns. Others she remembers by their backstory. Half kitsune, born in the spirit realm, witch in training from a secret clan of witches dating centuries back, a guy with spiky hair who just really cares about soccer and teamwork. It's weird, in a way, trying to remember names and faces and personalities for people she had been targeting not so long ago, and even weirder to consider that some of them are friends. Kyoko is good at what she does. She's an invaluable aid, and she can feel how her presence turns tides of battles and even wars. It feels different, better somehow, to be using that power to aid in someone else's fight, to have a set of candy eyes watching her in gratitude, to see those who have been alone so long breaking down in gratitude, to save others from the same self-imposed solitude she suffered through for so long. Kyoko didn't stay to see the end of the competition. Takashi had won, like she knew he would, but he refused to tell her the details of it. Instead, he greets her every day at the corner, and talks about the weather on the way to school, and walks with his hands behind his head, elbows extended upward and out, prattling about this and that. He insists on savoring the breath of normalcy when they can, talking about normal things like the weather and school, and that there's no need to fill that time with unnecessary talk of contests and competitions and supernatural dramas. His bright pink hair catches the sun while they walk. It matches hers, just about. Mariko and Sakura are going to join them after school at the cafe at the edge of town, Takashi tells her. It's a little bit far, but it's the best compromise since they live a ways away, and a lot of trains route through that town. Mariko is taking a stab at finishing her art program, so she may be a little late. Ryosuke has to haggle with his lawyers this afternoon about setting up a payment plan, but he'll join later. That sounds nice, Kyoko answers. She walks forward, still finding it unreal to have Takashi walking alongside her again. The wind is gentle against her back. Birdsong trills on around her. It's a gentle morning, one where she doesn't have to be so on edge. Her heart aches with the gratitude that swells there, following the birdsong, wondering if it's okay to enjoy this, just for this moment, just for now. But I might get pulled away this afternoon. The kid, the one whose hair looks like a tomato, you remember him? He's in trouble with some demon king again. Takashi smiles, and it's that smile of his that Kyoko missed so much. I'll let the other three know. Either cafe or demon king this afternoon. It's up in the air for now. Bonus art, courtesy of Ghostfish as well. Yatta! Nani? Hee hee!